Hey everybody, this is the Alex Manassa here to talk to you about what I'm thinking about, and I'm going to do it out loud, just for you, just between you and me. Today I want to talk about aesthetics and health and engineering. Everything I do is about engineering. I believe that the ingenuity that we bring to this world is kind of what makes us different from all the animals. It's what makes humans human, right? And we sort of pour ourselves, our natural selves, into the things that we build. That's a very important thing because when you look at architecture, you see human architecture. You see human biology being poured out into the creations that we make. When we make something that's aesthetically pleasing, right? When we make something that's aesthetically pleasing, that comes from a root of our natural tendency to enjoy patterns, to enjoy certain curves, to like certain sounds even, right? Does not the, if you take a look at a guitar and it has that nice curve to it, there's something very feminine to it, but it's also, a little bit sort of curved and rotund, almost like it's a piece of fruit or something. It's got a pleasing curve to it. Our biology is put into that pleasing curve. When we see regular patterns, that tells us that something is healthy, that it doesn't have diseases or defects of its genetic structure. A lot of the structures inside of our biology are pattern-based, right? They're fractals. They start out small and they build on each other bigger and bigger. A defect in that could cause that to go haywire because you're starting with a small seed and you're growing it into something bigger, right? You might start with just a simple pattern, but if that pattern creates more of itself and more of itself and more of itself, if that end result isn't even, that means a defect happened along the way. You'll see this in, prize-winning, if you go to the state fair and look at the prize-winning fruits, vegetables, and flowers there, you'll see patterns. You'll see beauty. And we were raised in the bosom of nature, right? And we learned how to spot natural health and order in the form of beauty. We learned how to spot plentiful. We learned how to spot productive. We found, these pattern recognitions were built into our DNA. It is a natural, instinctual thing. That's why a lot of the people around the world can pretty well agree on a lot of the core beauty standards, right? If you look at, Miss Japan and, Miss South Korea, Miss Zimbabwe, Miss Israel, all these different misses, right? If there's a beauty pageant of the world, a lot of those ladies have a lot of similarities. There's probably more similarities than differences if you were to chart them up. Really, at the end of the day, it would just be, your skin tone, your height, and your girth and that sort of, just, your hairstyle and stuff like that. It's just real little changes. Almost, as again, more similarities than there are differences, because all that pattern recognition tells us what healthy is. And we put that into our architecture. We put that into our, even into our circuitry, right? When I'm designing circuits, my mentor used to tell me to make it pretty. Make it pretty. And when I would make the thing pretty, aesthetically pleasing, it would just turn out to be more well-ordered, easier to understand. It could convey complicated functionality very simply. If my circuit board, all the traces went together, if I had even spacings of the traces, if I had regular patterns, if I used certain angles and made things look orderly, it would just be so much easier to troubleshoot, to build, to solder, to manufacture. It ends up saving money to make circuit boards look pretty. That's a profound thing. The very nature of our ability to look at aesthetics and determine that it is a good aesthetic is built into productivity. That is insane. It is insane. How is it that our nature, which, is, we're a bunch of apes that can use tools. We're really good at throwing. There's no other animal that can throw like us. We can throw. We can use tools, simple tools. We can communicate. Other than that, we're just animals, right? So other than that, we are just animals. And I bet you that if you showed chimpanzees a choice of different shapes and things to like and just saw which toys are they going to play with, they'd probably pick something very similar to the, human children would pick. Right? These things are so ingrained to us. But those shapes are inherently simple, easy to make. They often show some other characteristic, like it's ergonomic. If you ever looked at something that just looked so good you had to just put your hands on it, right? Keep your mind out of the gutter. But like a vase or something like that, when you see something, you want to pick it up. When you see something that looks beautiful, you want to just run your hand down it, right? A beautiful piece of marble, a beautiful guitar, a beautiful piano, that sort of stuff. You want to touch it. You want to use your monkey paws to put it all over it. Speaking of putting monkey paws all over things, my cat's all over my other desk. So it is insane to me that the instructions on how to make incredibly sophisticated pieces of engineering are built into us naturally. Another really good example, and I'm completely blanking out on the name. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking out on the name. The movie Aviators about him. It was Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes, when he made the extremely fast, I think it was world record-setting speed of a heavier-than-air airplane, he made it pretty. That's how he described it to his mechanics. They took all the rivets off, they made it streamlined, it just looked like this beautiful metal shell, and the thing just flew extremely well. The inflection point of engines and aerodynamics and manufacturability, all of that was optimized when he just tried to make it pretty. If you have something and you just make it beautiful, chances are it's going to be better in almost every way afterwards, right? Another really interesting thing to note is that these regular patterns, these symmetries we have, by the way, beauty of, if you showed someone's face, just showed their face, and you just took things slightly and made them asymmetrical, it would significantly impact your opinion of whether that person is beautiful or not. Patterns and symmetries are absolutely crucial. Absolutely crucial. Even if you just went out and saw a leaf and you saw the leaf was like kind of shrunken and messed up on one side, kind of listing over, right? You'd probably think there might be something wrong with that leaf or even with that tree, right? Our ability to farm is built on beauty. And there's a certain beauty that I think it is it's sort of a je ne sais quoi. I don't know what, right? You don't know what. The thing that an AI might actually have a lot of trouble. Either it'd be really easy for an AI to pick up on what's beautiful, or it'd be very difficult, right? There's so many synaptic circuits going on in our brain to make determinations of things that computers have a really tough time actually approximating it. When I said before that we humans are basically apes that can throw things, I don't mean that lightly. The ability to throw is incredibly complex. Your arm, your ligatures, your positioning, your calculations, not only of where the other object is through sight, so you have this vision system which is determining position and distance. You also have a predictive measure where you're reading like the psychology of the thing you're throwing it at and saying, is it going to go to the right or the left? Because you're leading your shots a little bit. You want to, if the creature jumps off the tree, you want to still be able to hit him with the rock, right? It's incredible the amount of complexity that our minds have, and the fact that productivity and absolute technical domination and prowess, for some people at least, is built into their DNA. They can just look at something and say, this is good technology. This is going to catch on, right? A lot of the people who are avant-garde in the technical world, they're not fully technical people, right? You know, it was Steve Jobs from Apple. I don't think he wasn't a technology person. He didn't know. I mean, he was interested in it, of course, but he wasn't Steve Wozniak, right? He was a sales guy. He was aspirational, a little bit artsy. I think he was like a sort of a barefoot hippie type. But he knew, he was in touch with his inner nature. So he knew what the technology should be like, should look like, should feel like. And that made a product that people wanted to use. If you ignore your natural impulses for beauty and aesthetics, you're not going to be the best engineer you could be. You're not going to be the best business person you could be. You're not going to necessarily make things that people want to use. You might make things that people have to use, right? You might make things that people find incredibly useful, and it's a great tool. But then you're just waiting for someone to take that and then just make it pretty. And then they're going to pick pretty every time if they don't have to use what you have, if they have an alternative, okay? just reflect on that this beauty that you have is totally intrinsic, and it is innate, and it is natural, and it is hyper productive. All right. This has been Alex Thinking Out Loud. I just wanted to plant that seed in your brain, get you thinking about it. Reflect on the things that are beautiful to you and why you like using it. Whether it's a knife that just handles really well, beautiful ergonomics, beautiful look to it, to a car that you really love to drive, how it feels to drive it, how everything feels. Someone engineered the way the steering wheel responds to you, the amount of resistance it gives, right? This has been Thinking Out Loud with the Alex Manassa. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later next time.